Peace, everybody. I'm here. I'm a little late because I was writing a song. I got a new album coming out called Ninth Ether. Allegedly, that's what I might name the album. Not sure yet. Let's get some keywords going here. Trump makes a decision and the federal court overrides that decision. I'm going to play you the new song that I got on the album. Peace, Uncle Andy's in the building. I just created this song. Kind of digging it. Let's go. Ooh. Let's bring it back. Here we go.
Yeah. 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 2 Train riding the iron horse. Smell like piss mixed with remorse. Headed to work and I hate it, but this is the life that I created. Badass Billy, I was a terror. Now 10 years later, a different ever. It's a different equation I'm trying to measure. I was street smart, but really never that clever. If I was, I could've used credit to build a treasure. Instead, I played a game. Masters of the earth versus the melanated slave. Unaware I'm the God that created what he became. Sad ass story, we all got one. I ain't looking for pity, looking for options. How to triple 100 without robbing. Eat better food, get better lodging. Separate from the bullshit is the answer to the problem. That's how you dodge bullets without having to dodge them. I know why the cage bird sings. You only took his body, not his dreams. Oh, you tried to take his mind, but left his wings. And the first chance they get, they gon' fly away. Yeah. Older than yesterday, looking at it different. Can't claim to be a god if my powers got limits. As a man thinketh, never think about the distance. The balance of pragmatics and teachings of oral mystics. Every bad choice, it came with a tuition. Life was the teacher, pain was the witness. Chasing all the fast money, all of the attention. Never understood that wealth was the position. Mama said patience, I ain't never listened. Hard-headed child, dark eyes, empty vision. Universal contracts, read it with precision. Try to leave my seeds in a way better condition. If we stacked every nickel, learn every skill, in 18 months it will be different window. I'm only being real. Pressure make crystals that's harder than any steel. Being free in the world, it comes with free will. Sunset, sunrise, and so I will use it. I know why the caged bird sings. You only took his body, not his dreams. Oh, you tried to take his mind, but left his wings. In the first chance they get, they gon' fly away.
Ooh, yeah. That's gonna be on my new album. I'm playing around with titles right now. But I could dig that. So what I did was I wrote the lyrics And this is what I like about AI, because before I would have to. I'm really a songwriter first. I only became an artist because I had songs that I couldn't really give to anybody to do them, because this is how I felt inside me. So a lot of people at the time, they were trying to get on in the music industry, and the stuff I was writing about wasn't going to get you signed. But people tell me I'm a good writer, and they're like, yo, you're dope. And I'm like, yeah, well. They're not, this is not what they're pushing right now. Nobody cares about what I'm talking about. So I wouldn't say I had backpack rap, but I didn't see the I didn't want to write toxicity. That's what I didn't want to write. And you know what's ironic? I was living toxicity. But I felt like there's no need to. You don't got to sell this. Like, I'm not doing this because, like I said in the song, at first you think when you're young you got it all figured out. When you figured out that you ain't got it figured out, then now you got to be like, damn, I am not at the starting line. I'm way, way before the starting line. Way before the starting line. Now what I do? And pretty much you'll do anything you want to do to get to the starting line. I just had got to this. I need to get to the starting line now. I need to reset, but I can't rewind time, right? So let's fix the credit. Let's get some skill sets that I can use and they'll pay good wages for. And that takes time, right? And that's what a person doesn't want to hear, especially when they realize, yo, I'm already behind. Yeah, you've been behind for a while. So most people will say, yo, let me find a quicker route there. But then they overdo it, overshoot. They been had enough to stop. They don't stop because now the lifestyle is comfortable, the excitement. It is a bunch of variables that have play why these people don't decide to just stop right now. And then they end up in jail or dead. And that is how the story goes. But I must say that might be the first song that I really like off my new album. And I'm definitely going to say that makes the cut. That makes the cut right there. Before we get started, let me move the comments over here. Welcome everybody. This is Society Past, Present, and Future. I see we got some people from Australia in the house. Shout out to everybody. I'll give you shout outs in a second. I just want to move the comments over there. So shout out to everybody that is international. You're watching me. And then we'll take the images down. Is that the image? And we'll put the monitor up. And what's going on? Okay, cool. Is this enlarged? Why does it seem enlarged? No, it's the regular size. Okay. I don't know why AP has it like that. We'll get into some stuff today. Give me a second. Want to give acknowledgments. All right, we got Uncle Andy. We got Little Foots. Little Foots was in the building. Philip from Australia says, I love this song. Blessings from Australia. Blessings to you and yours, Philip. You understand? Yo, Uncle Andy, check it out. I'm not going to be a gatekeeper. It's called Suno, bro. Suno is amazing. It's called Suno, bro. You know why I won't be a gatekeeper? Because it doesn't matter. You still have to create, right? So you're creating with the AI. So you could create. If you just let the AI do it, it may not be as soulful. I'm telling you right now. But work with it. So in my case, like I said, I was a writer. I was always a writer, and I didn't have nobody to. Or you don't have the money to produce, right? What does that mean? Well, what it used to mean, forget about what it used to mean. Like, you got to book the studio. The engineer is going to include his price in that studio. But then after y'all finish, And who knows if you're going to get it done in the 2 hours or the 3 hours that you booked. You have to mix, and it doesn't include the mix or the master. You understand? It was a lot. With Suno, I can give the AI my words. Well, first of all, two things. I made that beat with Suno too. That beat, I took a snippet of something else that somebody had on Instagram. I tell people all the time, I'm out here jacking for beats. Do not put your beats on the internet and don't think I'm gonna. If I like it, I'm jacking it. That's just it. So somebody put something on the internet. I said, "Oh, I like that." Snatch that. I'm grabbing that. Took a portion of that, put it through the AI. It made that beat. I extended the beat, right? Now I got a whole track. I tell it how I want it to feel. Yo, make it more jazzy, make it more bebop, make it more Afrobeat. Boom. Once it makes that, and sometimes I run through 50 of those, just getting the right song, like track, just getting the right feel. Boom, I got the right one for that track, that the way I liked it. Now, today, I already had a song over that, but I didn't like it. And I didn't like it because the AI wrote it. And I was like, I don't like it. The singing was good, but I didn't like it. So today I was like, yo, you got to get out your pen. But the problem was I haven't been in the mood to write, like mentally. I'm a dope writer, but if I'm not in the mood to write, I could tell this is trash. Like it's not even going to come out right. But this morning when I put the pen down, it just started going. I was like, oh. I said, 2 Train. I said, oh, right then and there. 2 Train, Iron Horse, smelling like, what have I said? Pissing in regrets or something like that. No, smelling like piss and remorse. 2 Train, Iron Horse, smelling like piss and remorse. And then I just went. I said, I got it. It's back. I could tell if it's back and when it's not there. Usually if my vibration is not right, it's gone. It's gone. You just got to go work out. You got to do better at your what is something that's draining my energy, right? Whether it's finances, decisions I'm making. Everything is not some conspiracy against you. Sometimes you're doing some shit that's not correct. And that's just what it is. You're not making good decisions out here. So whether it's the food we eat, whether it's the things we spend money on, whether it's how we spend our time, we got to take some accountability and some responsibility for that. Not everything we do is some big conspiracy of the government is against us. And then I'm not a YN. I'm not a young man I did that. So I just wanted to write from a position from that people could feel. Not necessarily black people, not necessarily poor people, just people. Like you gotta feel this. And I love to write music like that. So you gotta feel this. You gotta see what someone else is saying right now. So that's how that song came about. So if you feel like you have some skill sets but you don't know how to sing, but you want something expressed, try Suno. Alright, we're going to get into this right here. And as most of you know how I do my show, first of all, do hit the like button, do hit the subscribe button. But as most of you know, this is just a title to trick the algorithm. You do realize that. You realized that already when you came in. Trump tells agencies to align with studies calling for a narrow childhood vaccine recommendation. I've had people recently tell me this man is a quack. And I felt like I did not understand what I was missing. Maybe you guys could help me out today. I'll open up the phone line. If you call that phone right now, it's not going to ring. You text message me? When did you text message me? Go ahead. Today? First of all, my phone is off. That doesn't help. I have my phone. If you text message me today, my phone was off. And I was in here making that song. So the answer is no, I didn't get it. Okay. This I like this. Wolf Raza. I like dialogue. Wolf. I might open up the phone lines for you. Wolf Raza says he brought back measles for one thing. He is a psychotic. All right. I want to get to the meat and potatoes, right? If that's true. Now, I'm not up here. What I'm saying is this. He doesn't give me money, right? I've read about good things he's done and good things he stands for. Now, if there are people who saying, Jamel, you're missing it. I don't know where you're getting the news. This guy brought back measles. Then I need to be educated. That is facts. There's no debate there. Okay, now come on with the Sparky, bro. Why I gotta be Sparky, bro? I wanna. If you know something that's real, share it with me. Damn. There's no debate there, Sparky. Well, let's see if there's a debate there. Herodotus. Let's. I'm still gonna open up the lines to you because I want you to have the ability to defend yourself. So we got Wolf Raza. And Wolf, if you want to come up, you can say your piece, bro. And enlighten the people, right? Did Robert Kennedy Jr. bring back measles? Now, Raza, do you want me to... I don't want to ask a loaded question so you feel like it was unfair. Do you want me to ask a certain way? I want to give you every benefit of the doubt. Let's hit enter and see what it says. It could say yes. And that guy Raza you're talking to, he's spot on. He knows his deal. Unfortunately, it said no. Robert F. Kennedy did not bring back measles. Well, let's just say Gemini AI is a fucking liar. And Raza, who said that's a fact, and he called me Sparky. And he said it was no debate. Turns out there is a debate. Now I'm in the middle of a debate. You fucking wasted my time, bro. You said it was no debate, and in actuality, I'm dead in the smack in the middle of a debate that you said I would never be in, Raza. And that's what I get for listening. Never mind. No, Robert F. Kennedy did not bring back measles, nor did he eliminate the vaccine against it. However, the question comes at a time of intense public debate. You said I wasn't going to be in a debate. I see your new comment. Give me a second. Right? I'm trying to make you seem like you're not a liar or a quack, Raza. You said that's a fact, Jack. You could take that to Pound Town, clown. You got crazy. And then first question none of that shit is true. Who's that? Raza you talking to? Don't listen to that fucking guy. I know him. I know he knows me. I know him well. He's a fucking Looney Tune. Easy. Don't talk about Raza like that. Hold on. However, the question comes at a time of intense public debate over his recent policy changes and a sharp rise in U.S. measles cases. Okay, here's the actual breakdown of what is happening. Okay. Now, before I even read the actual breakdown, what this guy says, I do want to say this. I was very shocked to see Robert Kennedy endorse fucking the measles vaccine, MMR. I was very shocked. I couldn't believe what I was reading. I was really confused. I said, yo, I thought you was against this fucking MMR vaccine. Now you're endorsing it? I was so confused. And I'm going to keep it real with you. I still don't know how to explain why he did that. Because it was a whole different story. So it kind of felt like Trump all over again. When Trump was saying all of this shit, I'm out here like, yeah. Like I'm vouching for him. Like, nah, he's making sense. We got to go with that. And then as soon as he gets in, he goes against everything he fucking says. And that's how I felt. I was like, nah, Rob, I swore you wasn't going to be the guy who did that. Why people do this, I don't know. Is it just the money? Is it a combination of the money and safety for themselves and their family? Like, what would make you be dead set against something? Have a stance. Have the science behind it. And then when you get in, you're like, tomato. Does it really matter? What are you talking about? I voted for you because you had a strong stance on unnecessary and potential harmful vaccines. And for whoever's watching, because some people, zealots, extremists, think because you may be against something specifically or explicitly that all of a sudden, oh, you're an anti-vaxxer. Did anyone say that? Did anyone fucking say that? How about you stop being so fucking crystallized that you see what other people, just listen to what other people are talking about. If a specific vaccine is harmful, maybe I'm not an anti-vaxxer. Maybe I'm against that fucking vaccine. You ever thought of that, Sherlock? You ever thought of that? Why do I have to be against all vaccines now? Because the data came out that this particular one could be unsafe. You gotta stop being a zealot. It's nuts. Ma'at, balance. You gotta have balance, bro. Alright, let's read what this thing is saying. Here's the actual breakdown of what's happening. Then I'm going to go over to Raza, see what he's talking about. The MMR vaccine is still universally recommended. Despite headlines about the Trump administration and Health Secretary RFK Jr. slimming down the childhood vaccine schedule, the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccines remain firmly on the CDC's list of universal recommended vaccines for all American children. Okay. The controversial HHS scientific assessment issued January 2026 and the recent May 2026 presidential executive order. Can we get that? Let's copy that address link. If we could put that right here. Boom. Is it gonna copy? Okay. Let's get that going. What's that? This is the same thing. Alright. Hold on. Let me see something. Click on that. Alright. It doesn't seem like... Alright, I'll look up the executive order in a second. moving shots for the flu, rotavirus, hepatitis A and B, and certain forms of meningitis to be a shared clinical decision-making model. Okay. Core vaccines like MMR, polio, and DTaP were deliberately kept as universal standards. Okay. Now, no one wants measles or rubella. So my question is, can we make them safer? Are there unnecessary? These are the things I would be asking if I was on the board. Are there unnecessary additives? Are all the additives and ingredients and things used to create this the absolute necessary, and not just extra things in there? I would like to look at the adverse effects, see what we can probably eliminate to make it more of a universal fit for everybody. But I'm not on the board. So it says, why are measles cases spiking? The U.S. is currently experiencing a severe multi-year surge in measles. According to the CDC, the U.S. has recorded nearly 2,000 confirmed cases in the first half of the 2026 alone, putting the country on track to... Oh, okay. God. Let me be fair before I say what I want to say. Let me be fair. Let me go back to Raza. Raza's in here with ad hominem attacks. He said, you gotta grow brains and actually understand this shit. Okay, well, that was a waste of the few seconds that I had. You don't. You are just repeating things you do not understand, pretending you do. Am I? I'm sorry, Raza. Did I say I know? Did I say I know? And furthermore, you have not explained anything. I've given you a chance. I've left you over here hoping you would be able to explain. Answer me this before I even turn on the telephone, Raza. If I open up the phone line, will you explain to us idiots what it is that you think we don't understand? I don't know how I'm pretending to know anything. I haven't said anything. I haven't said anything. Johan says, I think a biologist is in the better position to answer those questions. What question? What particular questions do you think that a biologist is in a better position to answer? But I mean, the iron lung is no more thing because of the vaccine. Okay. I love it when people give you advice on things you never even asked or mentioned because they think that's where you're going. Apparently, Raza and Johan think that we're over here anti-vaccinating it up, right? We're just kicking the shit out of vaccines. Oh, fuck vaccines. Clearly, that's not what we're doing. But they don't listen, clearly. Raza came up over with insults. Sparky and all of this bullshit about you don't listen, grow brains. I love it. I'm glad I got the mic and not these two assholes. Polio is eradicated because of the vaccines. Okay. I never said it wasn't. I want to slow the conversation down. Never mind if I cause the issue and then provide the solution, which is done over and over and over fucking again. Let's take conspiracy out of it. That conspiracy anyway, of causing the issues. Let's just say it was there was an issue. It was a natural issue. That caused people to become sick. And someone found a way to legitimately and genuinely resolve that issue. I don't think anybody is gonna say like, "Yo, what are we using this for?" Like it's fixing problems. What are we using this for? It's fixing problems. Let's get rid of it. I don't think that's what anybody's gonna say. What if there's another group of people who aren't so moral, and they have their ambitions and their decisions are driven and inspired by making money, and they kind of overlook everything else. And at first these people aren't really a problem at all. However, the more money they garner and the bigger their network becomes, the bigger influence they have. So some of these people, people start to listen to them. They're giving them 5 minutes. I'll listen to you. And within that 5 minutes, they're offering people all type of money to do unsavory things, to do risky things. Risky. Let's use that word. Risky. So they can make a little bit more money. So now you have something that's genuine, something that works, something that's good. But it's about to be tainted. Because someone else listened to a guy that said it's not going to even affect anything like that. Just let me consider this. Here, I'll give you a few dollars. Let me do this. So, no, I don't think anyone over here was kicking. Well, me, because I have the mic. I wasn't shitting on vaccines. That's number one. So, I love the fact that you came over not listening, just fucking flailing, jumped into a lake of fire. Vaccines forever! Good for fucking you. Learn to be how to not be so polarized when you hear triggers and you think you're gonna know where the conversation is going. And because you have a fucking straw man argument, like, hey, if it wasn't for fucking vaccines, bro, we don't have polio right now. Okay, calm the fuck down. No one said I want to get rid of vaccines. I want to think logically, reasonably, philosophically about the entire picture. Can it be compromised? Can this industry be compromised? Has it been compromised? Where are the borders and protectors from it being compromised? So because someone wants to see a tool being used genuinely, and unperverted, doesn't mean he's against the entire tool. Take a listen, bro. Calm down. Now, you got up here and you spread fucking disinformation. I should have them clap you off my show just because you're spreading misinformation and disinformation. It's not even malinformation. I can dig malinformation. I don't like that disinformation because you want to get everybody stirred up. That you come over here telling lies on RFK. Oh, he brought back fucking measles. Sparky. And that's a fact, and you could, and none of that was a fact, and it could have been debated, and you lost the fucking debate. How about those apples, Johnny? Not Johan. Johan, I'll deal with you in a second. Let's do this. Shout out to the 19 people in the building. Let's do this. Love still lives here. Love still lives here. I wrote that song too. Give me a second. Let me put the comments back over here.
Plainly, Dr. Fauci's suppression of early treatments will go down in history as having caused the death of 500,000 Americans in the ICU.
I asked somebody, did you read his book? They said, nah, that book is full of lies. I said, what? I said, what? This book is full of lies. We could just look up and see if this shit is lies or not. As they say it. Yeah, shout out to YouTube for being predictable. I gotta fucking trick you to get people in the building just to listen to some other sides of their polarized rhetoric. He said, I'm just repeating things. He's just repeating things, and he didn't even know what the fuck he was talking about. Amazing. You're trying to act like you understand and you don't. You're trying to act like you understand and you don't. Let's listen to this is the real Anthony Fauci. I don't care what YouTube does, they could fucking take it off. Get rid of people. I don't care.
Ryan Cole is one of the doctors who adopted McCullough's protocols early in the pandemic. Dr. Cole is a Mayo Clinic and Columbia University-trained board-certified anatomic clinical pathologist and the CEO medical director of Cole Diagnostics, the largest independent lab in Idaho. He has diagnosed more than 350,000 patients in his career. Dr. Cole discovered McCullough's research during his own investigation of early treatment remedies when his overweight brother called Dr. Cole from a neighboring state on his way to the ER with a positive PCR test, labored breathing, blood oxygen at 86, and chest discomfort that he rated 9 out of 10. He has type 1 diabetes, explains Dr. Cole. Dr. Cole redirected his sibling to a local pharmacy and called in an ivermectin prescription. Within 6 hours, my brother's chest pain was down to 2 out of 10 due to the interferon effect of ivermectin, and within 24 hours after taking ivermectin, his oxygen was 98, and he then fully recovered, Cole told me.
Let's stop right there. This show is not about diabetes, but if in fact there was data out there that showed that high fructose corn syrup was a primary, one of the highest causing factors in inflammation, chronic illness, diabetes. between me and you watching me, if you was governor of a village and you seen something causing your people not be able to bend over, they can't get out of bed, they're getting fat, they're getting unhealthy, I'm just asking, if your advisor, because this don't gotta be fucking brain rocket science, if your advisor came back and said, sir or ma'am, we now realize that it's this that's causing this, what do you do? Hold up, but wait, there's more. What if in fact you make a lot of money off of the things that is causing the inflammation and the diabetes? In fact, at one point you had stopped farming altogether in your village and told everybody, we're just growing this because we found out that there was another use for it. It's a synthetic sweetener. This is why my show is called Society Past, Present, Future. So we could talk about the things, the sins that were committed in the past. Yeah. Telling the farmers, hey, don't grow these crops right here. Don't grow these crops because it's affecting the prices of blah, blah. Then coming back to the farmers and say, well, check this out. Scientists just realized that, hey, corn could be used as a sweetener. We going through some bullshit in South America right now. That's a whole nother topic. How capitalists got the United States Army military involved in corporate shenanigans in South America over sugar. Whole nother topic. Easy, Johan. The more you listen to me, I might start making sense, brother. Easy. I never start where you think I'm going to start. Because usually that's not the place to start. If we're starting with the issue, it just seems like the issue. It's not the root cause. I worked in technology. And if a box went down, a box meaning a server, if the server went down, I used to hate it. Why? Because now I have to write a report on it's called the RCA, a root cause analysis. They don't so much care that you brought the server back up. Great. Their thing was this: how do we prevent that server from going down again? So what I would have to do now, because my server went down, is now I have to write a report called an RCA, root cause analysis, and it has to be presented to my supervisor and to the client to tell them what happened, what steps I took to not only remedy the immediate issue, but to make sure this doesn't happen again. You see how that works? Make sure it doesn't happen again. Why would you want this to happen? Who would leave the door open for this to happen again and again and again and again and again? Only someone that was capitalizing off it happening again. Why would you partner with somebody to say, hey, I know how to make it seem like it goes away, which those are just the symptoms. It's not the root cause. So if somebody else, a snake oilsman, hey, good sir, I see you need some oils for your troubles, see? Yeah. And then it makes the ailment go down, but they never tell you. They never tell you. hey, it's the high fructose corn syrup you eating and drinking, and it's in everything, and it's too much, and your body can't take it. Do you, as the governor, say, yo, or do you tell your advisor, yo, just let me handle it. I'll handle it. Your advisor knows you're not handling shit because you're making money off all the other villages that's buying your stupid ass fucking high fructose corn syrup. And you don't know how to fill that void in the finances of your of the structure of your empire. You don't know how to fill the void. Can we do without that money? So it only gets worse from there. Now you got pharmaceutical snake oil salesmen coming in. Saying we could fix the problem. Or we could fix it so that it goes down. Now we got Wegovy. What's the other one? Ozempic. Keep it up. Keep it fucking up. Right? Never mind just saying, yo, the root cause of this shit is this right here. You guys can get to the fucking moon? You can get to the moon. You can get through the Van Allen Beltway without your fucking components frying, without people catching cancer. You can do that? You know how to do that? Oh, it's all mathematics, Jamel. So you just don't understand the mathematics. So why the fuck you can't track down the data for high fructose corn syrup and stop selling it? Ban it. Is that hard? Anybody that attempts to make sense, what I've seen happen in the past, is to defame that person and make that person seem crazy with your magic words. Your magic words like conspiracies. You got fucking $billion think tanks, bro. Do I expect you to retort with something that makes sense? Yes. You don't have one think tank or two. There are thousands, at least. Johan says Ozempic is a Danish medic against diabetism. I don't understand how healthy people use it. Come to America, they'll show you. Johan, there are people here who purposely spike their numbers to try to get. I've heard of people trying to get diabetes so they could get on the freaking Ozempic. It's nuts. But my point is this: we got all these synthetic drugs. That's fine. You're telling me how I can lose weight, which is going to be true. I'm going to lose some weight. Why wouldn't you just tell me? Or you could stop using. We could ban this unnecessary additive to everything. This high fructose corn syrup in like everything, bro. And everything is obviously an exaggeration, but let's just say a high percentage of things. When I turn over that label, it's like it's there on things I wouldn't even think it was there. It would be in. And yet, I had this fucking jackass come over today and tell me I need to grow a brain. I didn't even start shit with him.
A light bulb went off. Dr. Cole has overseen or helped perform over 125,000 COVID tests during the pandemic. Since rescuing his brother, he has encountered many patients in early stages of the disease. Almost none of them could find doctors in the community to treat them, he told me. I intervened to provide early treatment to over 300 positive patients, half of whom were comorbid and high risk. Of this cohort, none were hospitalized and none died. Early treatment of COVID-19, plain and simple.
Uncle Andy says, Aldi doesn't sell products with HFC. Thank you. I did not know that. There's 2 Aldis by me. I tried Wegmans for a little bit. Not only was it kind of far, but it was a little bit pricey at the time. I think that's the thing, Johan. I think we have to work on our communication skills. And if I can confide in you, I always try to sharpen my skills a little bit different ways, right? So people don't have to know what I'm doing, but I try to do it. I know what I'm doing, right? I'm sharpening my skills. So what I was doing was I was practicing my self-control, my self-restraint, and my articulation and communication when I was talking to Raza. But I noticed right away, okay, he has the same problem that I used to have. I'm triggered by certain words and I go off on a tangent and I just start where I think they're gonna go. So he didn't know where I was gonna go, but he assumed, hey, this is where you're going, and right now I'm gonna tell you, you don't know what you're talking about if you don't like vaccines. Bro, you gotta breathe. I never said anything bad about vaccines. I want us to collectively really think about something without having to be on one side of it. Why do I have to either be on the side of no vaccines or vaccine? Are those the only 2 options? Or is there a third options of having vaccines with more safety controls and monitoring, right? Is the panel and the board who oversees the Food and Drug Administration, are they compromised? Because at some point you got to say, okay, this doesn't seems like somebody's compromised in this room. We have to have a better system of monitoring and alerting us way before some director ends up before the panel for doing something scrupulous. It says Aldi is German. Maybe is the reason. Maybe. The Germans are smart. Obviously, we took all their technology. Germans were so smart. There's a myth that you guys were talking to reptilians. You guys were on some shit. I'm not going to hold you. I often think, what would have happened if you would have won that war? I'm going to drop the phone line at some point, Johan, if you want to come up and say a few words, man. You don't have to agree with me. You don't have to agree with me. I'm not dropping the link. I'm not going to drop the phone so someone can just agree with me. I learned things from other people. That's what I was hoping I was going to learn from Raza. But he just came with personal attacks and not any evidence of why he was upset. It's like, you guys don't have a brain. You gotta get a brain. Okay. Thank you, Wizard, from the Wizard of Oz. Do you have any other intelligent advice? Johnny the monkey. I don't. That's too vague, Johnny. Vaccines are safe. Side effects are rare. That's Johnny. We're not looking for that type of rhetoric either. I'm sorry. That's way too broad. What vaccine is safe? How many vaccines are there, Johnny? Vaccines are safe, everybody. Adverse effects are rare. Thank you, Johnny. Thank you. Anybody with any fucking data in this joint?
Saves lives. If the medical profession had been forward-thinking and hands-on, and focused on this disease with an early outpatient multi-drug approach, knowing that COVID-19 is an inflammatory clotting disease, hundreds of thousands of lives could have been saved in the U.S. Never in the history of medicine, says Dr. Cole, has early treatment of any patient with any disease been so overtly neglected by the medical profession on such a massive scale. Cole adds, to not treat, especially in the midst of a highly transmissible deadly disease, is to do harm. Cole says that the only truly deadly pandemic is the pandemic of undertreatment. He says the sacred doctor-patient relationship needs to be wrenched away from Anthony Fauci and the government, medical, pharmaceutical, industrial complex. Doctors need to return to their oaths. Patients need to demand from medicine their right to be treated. This year has revealed the countless flaws of a medical system that has lost its direction and soul. Cole points out that if you are under 70 years of age and have no severe pre-existing illness, you can hardly die from SARS-CoV-2 infection, so there is no fatality rate that can be reduced. And for people who are elderly and have pre-existing illness, he adds, as we know from Dr. Peter McCullough and his colleagues' work, there are miraculously effective medicines to treat this virus so that the fatality rates go down another 70 to 80%, which means...
So let's just stop right there. As this is a philosophical conversation, this has not turned into a debate yet. It's just a brainstorming session. It's just a brainstorming session. Were all of the options carefully weighed, or were we guided to believe that the only way to resolve the issue was to implement a vaccine? Mind you, at one point in time, there was a expected time frame for a vaccine to be adequately used. So if we're going to break the mold, whereas a vaccine typically takes 10 years, but you're saying because this is a urgent situation, we don't have 10 years. And my question is, hindsight, why was that the top choice? Clearly now, with all the data of having, someone just said there's really any effects. There's all type of lawsuits popping up of adverse effects. What are you talking about? No, this is not a cult at all. We're asking. We can't ask questions. Yeah, you're one of them. Show yourself, agent. Agent of darkness. You're one of them. And that's why your name is Johnny the Monkey. We understand now. We understand now. We understand. We see who you are. There'll be no logical and reasonable and be no logical thinking on Johnny's watch. Not over here. Not on my watch. I'm reporting you to blase blah right now. God. Can't even have a conversation so that we can figure out how to healthily, I don't think that's a word, but how to use vaccines healthy. Who said we're using them the most effective right now? If we can get in a room and get our egos behind us and just have a regular conversation, right? Never said I was against or for. But here's the thing, I'm not against vaccines. Let me just say that before we go any further. I'm not against vaccines. All right? Usually I would just play with your head for like, pause. That's crazy talk. I would not do that. But usually, I let your mind run wild for the entire show. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not against vaccines. So, what else do we got? Now that we know I'm not against vaccines, why are you talking about a vaccine or a COVID vaccine? There were several derived from different technologies. Why am I talking? I'm talking about it because I have a show. Why are you over here talking to me about the things that I'm talking about on my show? God damn, Johnny the Monkey. Johnny's wild. He's like, no. Here's the thing. When I take on a character, I take on a character. You understand? You guys are not committed. God damn it, I'm a monkey. A real fucking monkey. And you guys are taking it for a joke. I'm not taking it for a joke, Johnny. Shit. He said, why are you talking about a vaccine? Or the COVID vaccine? Question mark. Ow. Why are you talking about a vaccine? Because I fucking want to. There were several and derived from different technologies. Okay. So what? Was that some Einstein shit? Vaccines are thoroughly tested and safe. Okay. Which ones? Are they all thoroughly tested and safe?
There is no ground for emergency use whatsoever. That's a huge threat to the vaccine cartel and to remdesivir. It was only the independent doctors like Ryan Cole, who were not reliant on Dr. Fauci's largesse and who threw themselves into hand-to-hand combat against COVID-19, who discovered readily available treatment modes. We had hero doctors that really had to break with the academic ivory tower, says McCullough. Finally, a group of independent organizations, including the Association of American Physicians and Surgeons, the Frontline Critical Care Consortium, and America's Frontline Doctors, galvanized to organize the country into 4 national telemedicine services and 3 regional telemedicine services. Following Dr. Corey's explosive Senate testimony, thousands of doctors and frightened COVID patients began calling the hotlines for treatment. We took over healthcare, says McCullough. In numerous countries and regions around the world, repeated, striking, temporally associated reductions in both cases and deaths occurred very soon after either ivermectin was distributed or Health Ministry ivermectin recommendations were announced, said Dr. Corey. It could be argued that a similar association occurred in the U.S. Dr. Fauci and the industry propagandists later attributed the January decline in COVID cases, hospitalizations, and deaths to their vaccines, which began their rollout in mid-December 2020. However, even mainstream media doctors reluctantly acknowledged that the drop could not possibly be a vaccine effect. By February 1, only 25.2 million, or 7.6% of Americans, had received a single vaccine dose. The CDC acknowledges that there is no effect until many weeks after the second COVID jab. Tony Fauci's decision to deny early treatments undoubtedly prolonged and intensified the pandemic. McCullough pointed.
So, getting back to critical thinking, never mind the efficacy of vaccines right now. Well, we can't never mind it, because my next question is, was it the best next choice? This is just a thought out in the open. Why did we jump there so fast? Why were other potential remedies blocked, even though their efficacy rate had proven to be high in other countries where it was used? I'm just talking to the people that are thinking rationally right now. Does that not seem like a conflict of interest at that moment in time? If someone is presenting information, hey, this is what we use. If this is really a worldwide effort, and these people over here saying, hey, I need you guys to check this out. Just check it out, because we've been using this, because we don't follow the WHO, because we know that Bill Gates is overzealous about his business of vaccines, and he donates more than 50% to the WHO. And quite frankly, checking his track record, there has been a lot of harmful effects on the things he's done in Africa way before now. So it made us think, hey, maybe we don't want to really listen to them. Let's try our own thing. And we tried some things, and they were successful. Here, if you guys want to try, and like, nah, we don't want to try that shit. We got vaccines, bro. Someone's mad. Someone's in a mood. Do your own research. Equal. Absorb idiotic takes on social media. Yeah. Is that what we're doing? Or are we asking open-ended questions that even we invited you, we allowed you in here. We didn't invite you here. But we've allowed you to stay. I've kept people from not fucking blocking you because I want you to speak, hoping that you will come with something that will, some data. Right? But you're getting upset. Idiotic takes on social media. This is not social media. This is a book we're listening to. Obviously, not a peer-to-peer scholarly book. No one in their right mind would have, that wants to be a doctor, that wants to be someone on this earth, would go against the machine. JFC take a science class at a community college? Well, I'm going to say you got to take one if you're going to. You take one. I'm having a philosophical question about how to better run civilization. This is not so much of a science discussion. It's more of the data that we analyze, how things are operating, the data that we're choosing to analyze, and how things are operating. And you're upset because this is not about science.
Points out that early treatment does not just prevent hospitalization, it quickly starves pandemics to death by stopping their spread. Early treatment reduces the infectivity period from 14 days to about 4 days, he explains. It also allows someone to stay in the home so they don't contaminate people outside the home. And then it has this remarkable effect in reducing the intensity and duration of symptoms so patients don't get so short of breath. They don't get into this panic where they feel they have to break containment and go to the hospital. McCullough says that those hospital trips are tinder for pandemics, especially since at that point the patient is at the height of infectivity with teeming viral loads. Every hospitalization in America, and there's been millions of them, has been a super spreader event. Sick patients contaminate their loved ones, paramedics, Uber drivers, people in the clinic and offices. It becomes a total mess. McCullough says that by treating COVID-19 at home, doctors actually can extinguish the pandemic. So this has been a story of American heroes. It's been a story of worldwide success. McCullough's group is now part of a worldwide network of frontline physicians using repurposed drugs to save lives around the globe. These doctors have built networks and information banks outside of the government agency and university hegemony, allowing doctors to actually practice the art of healing. Their network includes the BIRD Medical Coalition in the UK and Treatment Domiciliare COVID-19 Group in Italy, which conducts rallies to celebrate zero hospitalizations from this multi-drug approach. We have PANDA in South Africa, the COVID Medical Network in Australia, and so on, says McCullough. Despite the various government agencies and the Ivory Tower medical institutions literally not lifting a finger, COVID-19 independent doctors and hero organizations kicked in. And to this day, we're in the middle of the Delta outbreak. Guess who's treating the Delta patients? It's again not the academic medical centers, or the government, or even the large group practices. They're not touching these patients. Once again, it is independent physicians. It's independent doctors who are actually compassionately reaching out and using what we call the precautionary principle. They are using their best medical judgment and scientific data to apply therapy now and to practice the art of healing. For any of our academic colleagues that have said, Dr. McCullough, we need to wait for large, randomized trials, what I've always said is, listen, this is a mass casualty event. People are dying now. They're being hospitalized now. We can't wait for large, randomized trials. We need to be doctors. We need to start healing people. 2. Killing hydroxychloroquine.
Uh-oh.
Most of my fellow Democrats understand that Dr. Fauci led an effort to deliberately derail America's access to life-saving drugs and medicines that might have saved hundreds of thousands of lives and dramatically shortened the pandemic.
Now we're about to get into something. This chapter, I spoke to someone last week. I said, did you read the book? He said, yeah, that book is full of lies. They said something in that book that we're going to listen to in a few seconds. A few minutes. A few seconds is cap. That we can easily look up. So I hope Johnny the Monkey sticks around. Why is that your name, bro? Jesus Christ. He says, do you have internet there? So you're not here. So where are you, Johnny the Monkey? Are you in Mumbai right now? Because I'm going to keep it real with you. That's my first guess. Are you in Mumbai? Are you practicing English as a second language? Are you on the take? Are you in the payroll? It doesn't matter. These are rhetorical questions, Johnny. What I want you to do, I want you to keep on doing what you do, commenting in my fucking comment box, getting your blood pressure up. I want you to listen. Because some shady business went down that I need you to hear. Are you ready? Let's go.
There is no other aspect of the COVID crisis that more clearly reveals the malicious intentions of a powerful vaccine cartel led by Dr. Fauci and Bill Gates to prolong the pandemic and amplify its mortal effects in order to promote their mischievous inoculations. From the outset, hydroxychloroquine, HCQ, and other therapeutics posed an existential threat to Dr. Fauci and Bill Gates' $48 billion COVID vaccine project, and particularly to their vanity drug remdesivir, in which Gates has a large stake. Under federal law, new vaccines and medicines cannot qualify for emergency use authorization, EUA, if any existing FDA-approved drug proves effective against the same malady. For FDA to issue an EUA, emergency use authorization, there must be no adequate, approved, and available alternative to the candidate product for diagnosing, preventing, or treating the disease or condition. Thus, if any FDA-approved drug like hydroxychloroquine or ivermectin proved effective against COVID, pharmaceutical companies would no longer be legally allowed to fast-track their billion-dollar vaccines to market under emergency use authorization. Instead, vaccines would have to endure the years-long delays that have always accompanied methodical safety and efficacy testing. And that would mean less profits, more uncertainty, longer runways to market, and a disappointing end to the lucrative COVID-19 vaccine gold rush. Dr. Fauci has invested $6 billion in taxpayer lucre in the Moderna vaccine alone.
Should that business have been called a gold rush? And yet it was. Right? Never mind what I think it should have been called. They called it the vaccine gold rush, which is crazy. To me. It doesn't have to be crazy to you. I don't want to seem like a good stopple on your thoughts. Let me put this over here. I'm going to put this over here so I can check it anytime I want. There we go. Cool. Sorry for stopping it. I think we're good now. Okay, put this back. No, what are you doing? Put this back. There we go. And we're good. Let's go.
His agency is co-owner of the patent and stands to collect a fortune in royalties. At least 4 of Fauci's hand-picked deputies are in line to collect royalties of $150,000 a year based on Moderna's success, and that's on top of the salaries already paid by the American public.
I have another question for everybody that's watching. Hit the like button if you're just coming in, or don't. Do you guys feel that as the top virologist in the United States and the most paid federal employee, the highest paid federal employee, do you think that it was a conflict of interest to be able to earn money off of certain recommendations in any form or capacity? This is just a question to you guys. I'm gathering data. If I'm in a position and I'm giving, it is my job to give advice. And the advice I give, I'm telling people to take a particular product, a product that I make money off of. Is this a conflict of interest? Let's go to our expert, Johnny the Monkey, for the answer. Johnny, are you there? What do you say? Johnny says, please don't be so helpless and stupid. There you go. That's our intelligent answer from Johnny the monkey. Just about what I expected the retort to be. Thank you, Johnny the monkey. And we'll get back to the show on that note.
So there was good reason that very powerful potentates of the medical cartel were already targeting HCQ long before President Trump began his infamous romance with the malaria remedy. President Trump's endorsement of HCQ on March 19, 2020, hyper-politicized the debate and gave Dr. Fauci's defamation campaign against HCQ a soft landing among Democrats and the media. Trump's critics relegated any further claims of HCQ efficacy to the same anti-science waste bin as Trump's notorious recommendation for bleach to cure COVID and his denial of climate change. But
I think that was a crazy recommendation. I was half listening when Trump said that, take bleach. What? I wasn't fully listening. Take bleach? What are you talking about? Yeah, that's my cousin, Johnny the Monkey, said take bleach, take bleach. Oh, Johnny the Monkey, I know that guy. If Johnny says it, then I'll look into it. But are you sure? Take bleach? Hey, that's what Johnny the Monkey says. You mean Frankie the Knuckles? No, Johnny the Monkey. All right. Cool.
HCQ had a long history of safe medical use that got lost in the politics and propaganda. HCQ before Dr. Fauci's smear campaign. Dr. Fauci's challenge to prove that HCQ is dangerous was daunting because hydroxychloroquine is a 65-year-old formula that regulators around the globe long ago approved as both safe and effective against a variety of illnesses. HCQ is an analog of the quinine found in the bark of the cinchona tree that George Washington used to protect his troops from malaria.
65 years young. Let's see here. Calculator. 2020 minus 65. 1955 was a number. Another summer. Get down. Sound of the funky drummer. Okay.
For decades, WHO has listed HCQ as an essential medicine, proven effective against a long list of ailments. It is a generally benign prescription medicine, far safer, according to the manufacturer's package inserts, than many popular over-the-counter drugs. Generations have used HCQ billions of times throughout the world, practically without restriction. During my many childhood trips to Africa, I took HCQ daily as a preventive against malaria, a ritual that millions of other African visitors and residents embrace.
Wow.
Long use has thoroughly established HCQ's safety and efficacy, such that most African countries authorize HCQ as an over-the-counter medication.
Stop right there. Do I have any viewers that want to say what this guy is saying is misinformation or disinformation? Because people told me this guy's a liar, doesn't know what he's talking about. So is all of this, because he is naming specifics, unlike Raza and Johnny the Monkey, who I have given multiple opportunities to name specifics, and it's just a continuation of ad hominem attacks. Immature child business. Temper tantrum throwing. Foolishness. Tomfoolery.
Africans call the drug Sunday Sunday because millions of them take it religiously, once a week, as a malaria prophylaxis. It's probably not a coincidence that these nations enjoyed some of the world's lowest mortality rates from COVID. HCQ is the number one most used medication in India, the second most populous nation on the planet, with 1.3 billion people. Prior to the COVID pandemic, HCQ and its progenitor, chloroquine, were freely available over the counter in most of the world, including France, Canada, Iran, Mexico, Costa Rica, Panama, and many other countries. In the United States, the FDA has approved HCQ without limitation for 65 years, meaning that physicians can prescribe it for any off-label use. CDC's information sheet deems hydroxychloroquine safe for pregnant women, breastfeeding women, children, infants, elderly and immune-compromised patients, and healthy persons of all ages.
I don't think y'all hearing him. I'm going to bring that back 30 seconds just so y'all can kind of get how much, not just the world and different other countries endorse HCQ, but the United States as well.
And many other countries. In the United States, the FDA has approved HCQ without limitation for 65 years, meaning that physicians can prescribe it for any off-label use.
Johan, I don't have any problem with you. It seems that you have critical thinking. You understand? That's why I invited you up to say something, Johan. I don't have issues with people who disagree with my point of view. I don't have a problem. So just because you have your own ideas, but it seems like you have your own ideas for a particular reason that I think if I gave you the opportunity, you would be able to back with some type of logic and reason, right? Johnny the Monkey is just all over. He's like a zealot right now. He's like an extremist. He's losing his cool. Right? And shout out to my brothers from Senegal. You understand? I have very close friends from Senegal. I speak to a couple of times a month. And we just have long hours of conversation. Not really debate. It's just long hours of conversation. What I know, what they know. We talking WhatsApp because some of them are in Canada, some of them are in Africa.
CDC's information sheet deems hydroxychloroquine safe for pregnant women, breastfeeding women, children, infants, elderly and immune-compromised patients, and healthy persons of all ages. The CDC sets no limits on the lengthy and indefinite use of hydroxychloroquine for the prevention of malaria. Many people in Africa and India take it for a lifetime. Since its recommended protocol as a remedy for COVID requires only 1 week's use, Dr. Fauci's sudden revelation that the drug is dangerous was specious at best.
Wow. Does anybody else see a problem with that? Or let me ask you this. Anybody besides Johnny the Monkey? I cannot take Johnny. I can't be online debating with somebody named Johnny the Monkey. I don't know. Does anybody outside of Johnny the Monkey think that that's a conflict of interest? The fact that HCQ had a prior track record that was pretty much nobody argued against the efficacy of this drug for many different things. Again, asking a philosophical question. If we were all on a round table, right? You say it's 35 of us and we have to govern this village, govern the world even. Right? 65 of us. You're in that room now. You watching me. You're in the room. I'm in the room, of course, right? Other leaders are in the room. And we go to the mic gets to Fauci. Somebody had brought up already, hey, the efficacy rate of HCQ. And he's like, nah. I got something. I'm working on something else. And besides, that stuff is very dangerous. But prior to this, you have never heard of that stuff being dangerous. He's like, nah, that stuff is dangerous. You telling me there's nothing in your logic and reason that would be like, well, why is it dangerous now? I never heard of this being dangerous. We've been using this. I'm not saying that you lying. Nah, I got something. Give me a second. No, Johnny. No, thank you. But you could do this, Johnny. You could put me in my place right now by telling me, all you have to do, Johnny, if you want to put me in my place, is tell me why it wasn't considered and why the virus, the vaccine was considered first and only option. If you want to put me in my place, you will articulate that right now. That's how you put me in my place and prove to everyone that I am an idiot for even philosophizing on the idea of coming up with different options and some options that might have been working for other countries. Put me in my place, Johnny the Monkey. And I want you to have aggression in your tone when you put me in. Well, first of all, blah, blah. Now, you have AI at your side, Johnny. Use it. Why are you not using AI to come up with your answers, bro? Because you're a fucking monkey. Now get busy, Johnny. I'm not here to help your argument, and yet I find myself helping you to defeat me. Come on, Johnny. You're better than this. You're better than this, man. Maybe a monkey, but you're better than this.
According to Dr. Peter McCullough, to date, there has not been a single credible report that the medication increases the risk of death in COVID-19 patients when prescribed by competent physicians who understand its safety profile.
Okay. Well, are they more competent than Johnny the Monkey? Because clearly not. He's about to put me in my place. He's typing. You're going to see, RFK. Don't take him for a joke.
Efficacy against coronavirus with early intervention HCQ protocol. Some 200 peer-reviewed studies by government and independent researchers deem HCQ safe and effective against coronavirus, especially when taken prophylactically, or when taken in the initial stages of illness along with zinc and Zithromax. In 32 studies of early outpatient treatment of COVID using hydroxychloroquine, 31 of the studies showed benefit, and only one study showed harm. The study showing harm resulted from a single patient in the treatment group requiring hospitalization.
Johan, I'm willing. Okay, let's deal with what Johan said. Johan said, I think mRNA is first something not new. And I think the science community lack communication skills to explain things. I want to work with that, what you just said. By not new, what do you mean, Johan? Not like give us decades, right? Because we know that Peter McCullough said he invented this. He was one of the inventors of mRNA. So a quick Google search would let us know when it was invented. Now we're having a conversation I'm willing to have. All right? So let's just ask Gemini, who are the co-founders of mRNA and what year was it invented? Because mRNA can refer to the natural biological molecule, the corporate entity Moderna, or the therapeutic vaccine technology, the answers depend on exactly what you are looking for. Okay. The biological molecule discoverers, messenger's RNA was discovered by teams of scientists including Sidney Brenner, Frankos Jacob, Matthew Meselson, along with the contributions from James Watson and Frankos Gross. Okay. Year 1961. They successfully isolated and identified it as a transient molecule that carries genetic instructions from DNA to RNA, ribosomes for protein synthesis. Okay. The key breakthrough in mRNA technology, therapeutics, and vaccines, if you're referring to the synthetic modified mRNA technology used in modern medicine, okay. Are we going to talk about that? Maybe I need to bring this over here. Can I bring this? Can I pop this out? More options. What's this? Pop out. Pop out chat. Okay. Let's bring this over here so you guys can see the conversation that I'm having right now. And let's bring back okay. So let's get a better handle on this. Let me ask a question. So, a team of scientists discovered the natural phenomenon of mRNA in 1961, and then another team of scientists worked on the synthetic version of that same biologic mechanism? Question mark. If so, how? No. What was the exact enhancement? Enter. Yes, that is exactly how the timeline unfolded. The transition from the 1961 discovery to the modern medical application required solving a massive biological riddle. What? I want to know what that riddle was. When the scientists discovered natural messenger RNA in 1961, they realized it was the body's temporary copy of genetic instructions sent from DNA to ribosome to build proteins. Naturally, scientists eventually thought, if we can engineer synthetic mRNA, we can inject it into the body to instruct cells to make any protein we want, like a medicine or a vaccine. So it seems like the logic and the reason was there, but it would be precedent and we could run into errors. How do you practice something like this? How do you get better at something like this? Without actually using at some point people to practice on. I know there's a scientific term for it, but it's not coming to my mind, and I'm not going to hold up the show for that. Again, this is a philosophical conversation I'm having. Some people can handle it, some people can't, because I'll start to make too much sense with the questions I'm having, right? It's not like I'm up asking asinine questions. No, these are, in my opinion, logical questions. I have another question. If we are successful at doing this at some point, and say we are, and thank God if we are, and it's like, yes, we were able to do this, where does the morality protectors and safety guards, where are the safety guards for morality? Because if we could use this for good, then somebody can use this for evil. Somebody can use this to harm people, is what I'm saying. Yeah, that is what I was saying. Wanted to say, Uncle Andy, but I wasn't going to say that. All right, reading my text. Yeah, you said that was going to happen, bro. You said, yo, I'm not going to be able to sleep now. You said that. I think that's why people don't like coming over here, because I think we start to make too much sense. And what I look at on a lot of shows is that people like to argue, right? So because he tried to argue with us and we didn't fall for the bait, because you know what happened? It takes the show somewhere else, and we never give the people the meat and potatoes to walk away and say, wait, repeat that what you just said? So there was a record of HCQ having an effective result, but we blocked it, and there was never any records with data saying why we blocked it. But there were over 200 records of other countries and communities using it effectively. See, we gotta think about it. It's not about shooting down anything. It's not about shooting down a vaccine. It's not about demonizing the health industry. It's none of that, right? It's about asking logical questions. And when you make too much sense, you scare the boogeyman and he starts to go away. He just goes away upset. However, when they tried this in the lab, it failed completely. Yeah, that happens sometimes. Injected synthetic mRNA caused severe potential lethal inflammation in animals, and the body's immune system destroyed it before it could ever reach the cells. I believe you. The breakthrough that fixed this came in 2005 from Dr. Caitlin Carrico and Drew Wiseman. The exact enhancement they made is known as the nucleoside modification. All right, talk about it. Talk about it. The problem: the immune system's alarm bells. Inside your body, immune cells have bouncers called toll-like receptors. Their job is to look for foreign invaders like viruses. When scientists manufactured synthetic mRNA in a lab using standard building blocks, it looked normal to human eyes, but the body's immune receptors instantly flagged it as a hostile viral invader. Right. So you're wearing a suit and you think it's all good, but we know. I want you to pay attention when he's explaining, because I'm going to pull something up in a second called mimicry. Yeah. I'm going to pull something up called mimicry. Johnny the Monkey said I need a science class. I think I'm too far gone. I'm not going to understand what they're talking about in that intro science class. But I understand what I'm talking about. So we're just going to go from there. So pay attention to what this guy's saying. Well, it's not really this guy. It's an AI teaching us about science. But this is what Johnny wanted. When scientists manufactured synthetic mRNA in a lab using standard building blocks, it looked normal to human eyes, but the body's immune receptors instantly flagged it as a hostile viral invader. The immune system launched a massive inflammatory attack against it. The enhancement, molecular stealth. Carricos and Wiseman noticed that the body's own natural mRNA doesn't trigger this alarm because the human cells subtly alter their own RNA building blocks after creating them. Synthetic RNA lack these protective modifications. To fix this, they replaced one of the 4 standard letters, nucleosides of RNA. The original, uridine, the enhancement, pseudouridine. Jesus Christ. Specifically, N1 methyl pseudouridine in final commercial vaccines. Stealth, no inflammation. The immune system's receptors no longer recognize the synthetic mRNA as a threat. It effectively slipped past the biological bounces completely unnoticed. Supercharged efficiency. Not only did the mRNA survive, but the ribosomes, the cell's protein factories, actually read the modified mRNA better than the original version. We don't know if it was better, producing up to 10 times more than the target protein. That is impressive. I think that's impressive for mankind to have, if these are actual Homo sapiens sapiens. However, they present to be as Homo sapiens sapiens. I think it's impressive that they can work that hard and finally figure out the communication between DNA and RNA. Because, again, if they could do this without any harm, this could be good for humanity. I think whether it should have been done in the first place is a whole nother conversation. But if it's helping people, it's going to probably be hard to argue against whether it should have been done, because they figured out something, and if it helps people and can relieve disease, then there's your answer. However, if you're trying to rush this to market so that you can make money off of it, and you're not mentioning the things that have not been resolved, that can probably cause harm to a human later on, but you're figuring risk to reward, we're just gonna push it out there. That's not ethical. That's not moral. It's not transparent. It's something we need to talk about. And just because you send 1,000 indoctrinated goons at everybody's neck that come up and ask logical questions, they're on the attack. Every time somebody asks a reasonable question, oh, well, you don't trust science? You don't trust science? Are you an anti-vaxxer? That's not going to work forever. It cannot work on me. It cannot work on us. We're just going to let you finish your tirade. Are you done? Because science is not, biological science anyway, is not the only element within a civilization. We have other things to consider here. There are other legs that help the table of civilization stand. In short, the 1961 discovery found the blueprint for how cells talk. The 2005 enhancement was a chemical cloaking device that allowed scientists to write their own blueprints and deliver them into the body safely. This single molecular tweak is what made COVID-19 vaccines and the future of mRNA cancer therapies possible. All right. Well, that being the case, let's get to this. I want to put the monitor on that. I want to bring this down for a second. If I could all right. Natural selection. Nope. Let's go to recent. Give me a second. I gotta find it again. I had the same problem last night. I'm trying to open up the same slide, and for some reason, I can't find the slide. There it is right there. All right. Protein, mimicry, or molecular camouflage. I think that's the one. Let's put this over here for now. View, slideshow. All right. Turn the monitor back on. Boom. All right. Protein, mimicry, or molecular camouflage. Molecular camouflages can fool other proteins into thinking they are something else. This deception allows them to interfere with the normal functions of the proteins they mimic, creating chaos in the cellular processes. This mimicry can be both helpful and harmful. It can help cells respond to signals properly, but it can also be exploited by viruses and certain diseases to spread and cause damage. In essence, protein mimicry is a sneaky strategy used by some proteins to pretend to be someone else or something else, just like camouflage used by animals or soldiers to blend in their surroundings. DNA and genetic material. Importantly, the spike protein itself does not directly interact with the host cell's DNA or genetic material. The virus's genetic material is RNA, not DNA. It does not integrate with the host cell's DNA or affect the host's genetic code. Immune response. The presence of the spike protein on the surface of infected cells trigger an immune response in the host, as the immune system recognizes it as foreign. The immune response includes the production of antibodies and immune cells to combat the virus. ACE2. Viral entry point. ACE2 is a protein receptor found on the surface of certain human cells, including cells in the respiratory tract and lungs. Viruses like SARS-CoV and SARS-CoV-2 use ACE2 as their entry point into these host cells. The spike proteins on the surface of these viruses bind the ACE2, initiating the process of viral entry into the host cell. Tissue distribution. ACE2 is not limited to the respiratory system. It is found in various tissues and organs throughout the body, including the heart, kidneys, and gastrointestinal tract. This has raised questions about potential extra respiratory manifestations of diseases like COVID-19. When a virus invades the body, it needs to enter and infect our cells to replicate and spread. Some viruses have proteins on their surfaces that mimic the appearance of certain proteins found on the surface of our cells. These viral proteins act like a disguise, fooling the cell into thinking the virus is a friend and harmless, or even a normal part of the body. Once the virus gains entry into the cell, it can take advantage of the mimicry to hijack the cell's machinery for its own benefit. The viral proteins may mimic important cellular proteins that are involved in cell signaling, DNA replication, or immune responses. Let me read that again. The viral proteins may mimic important cellular proteins that are involved in cell signaling, DNA replication, or immune responses. By pretending to be the cellular proteins, the viral proteins can manipulate the cell into assisting with the virus's replication and survival. Our immune system is designed to recognize and eliminate foreign invaders like viruses. However, when viruses use mimicry, they can evade detection by our immune system. The immune system may not recognize the disguised viral proteins as foreign, allowing the virus to continue spreading and causing damage without being effectively targeted by the immune response. Viruses can also disrupt the formal functions of cells by interfering with the signaling pathways and processes in which the mimicked proteins are involved. This disruption can lead to various disease symptoms and may contribute to the damage caused by the infection. Overall, the ability of viruses and certain diseases to exploit protein mimicry allows them to enter cells undetected, hijack cellular machinery, and evade the immune response, leading to the spread of the infection and potential harm to the host organism. Understanding these mechanisms can help researchers develop better strategies for combating viral infections and developing targeted therapies to block the mimicry and disrupt viral replication. So, as if the world wasn't bad enough and we did not have robots to deal with, now we also have mad scientists, potential mad scientists. Not all scientists are mad out of their head. However, I can only speak for myself. I, for one, do believe that they do exist, these scientists. They may not have the ethical and moral standards that I have. They may do something scrupulous. They could, maybe for money. Mobile, what's good, bro? Yes, Johan. Okay. So let's not say so the vaccine. Let's not do that. But I see what you're saying. So I don't want to look at it as let's just call it a technology, right? Nanotechnology, if we will. Because that's what it seems to be. It seems somehow through understandings that these experts understand, that they've figured out programming between biological programming. They figured it out. So here, Johan, here's the thing. Because it has the ability to do what you just said. It has the ability to fool the body. Now, what I'm saying, Johan, nobody, and I know you're not saying this, but this is what I'm saying. We could use this for good. There's definitely a benefit here where we could, if it's in the right hands. Or, Johan, this is what I'm also saying. There's some people down here on earth that don't even want to tell us to stop using high fructose corn syrup because there's an industry that they're making money off of it on, right? And say that is conspiracy. Say someone says, well, you don't know that's conspiracy. What is not conspiracy is the data that came back from people using high fructose corn syrup so much. So to me, it's just really simple. Stop people from using that. Let's get a healthier lifestyle going. But because they don't do that, it leads me to believe that these are immoral people. They're not people that I can feel like have my best interests. And I think that's fair to say. How if you're going to allow something to continue on that can harm me, how can you say with a straight face, hey, I got your best interests? Right? So because there are people down here like that on this planet that are in control of certain projects, certain industries, certain communities, certain organizations, certain philosophies, ideologies, sustainability projects, we're surrounded by these type of people. Then I think that we should look at everything from both sides when it is presented to us from a scientific point of view, from a governance point of view, from a sustainability point of view, all of it. The thing is, when science presents it, the whole science community wants us to be like, yeah, we're on board with it because it's science. When some of us are smart enough to know there's a word called theories that's used in science, in the definition of science, that lets us know your science is not 100% yet. And the people using your science are not 100% moral, ethical. The combination of these two things can lead to error, to fatality. Now, Johan says most vaccines are a weakened form of the virus that caused the disease. That's neither here or there. I don't think that's what we're talking about. Not at this particular moment, unless you want to elaborate. At this particular moment, we're talking about a technology invented that can trick the cell into thinking it is a normal part of the natural mechanics of biology and seeing it as not foreign, when in fact, that's why it's called mimicry. Once it gets inside the cell, it's like, gotcha, bitch. Wasn't who you thought it was I? Right? So, what I'm really saying is, I want the science community to have an open mind. Don't be zealots, right? If I can tell my audience, hey, have an open mind to science, the science community could do the same thing. It doesn't. The science community does what Israel's doing in Palestine. It's like, yo, you let me in? Okay, you trust me? All right, then I'm going to need like at least fucking 2,000 more miles of land, bro. Oh, no? I'm going to take that shit then. Fuck you. And it just gets crazy. That's what science does. It's like, look, we have vaccines, they work. Everyone's like, all right, that's good. You got rid of polio, right? Then somehow the data comes back. We ask some questions. Hey, we seen that you were using mercury over here, allegedly. I don't want YouTube to take my fucking channel like they did before when I had this conversation. And we see some relationship between this and autism. Is there, hey, you fucking demons, don't you talk bad about vaccines? We was just asking a question because it's nothing to do with one another. You guys are liars. When anybody reacts like that, there seems like there might be a problem. If you don't want to even have a rational discussion and you just jumping all over the place, like those fucking two clowns that came in earlier, I didn't even say anything about vaccines at all. They just went off on a tangent. Vaccines are safe. Which fucking vaccines are safe? All of them? You're a liar. You're a fucking liar. How dare you say that with a straight face? So if we're going to have a conversation, and a reasonable conversation, and a rational conversation, then I'm willing to say, yes, some are 100% safe. But if you want me to believe that every last one is safe, then come on. Then I don't feel like we're having a rational discussion. Furthermore, you have people that's investing in this type of technology for money. That's neither here nor there. Let's get the Gemini AI to tell me about mimicry. Tell me about mimicry. What do they call it? Protein mimicry. See what I can learn. Protein mimicry, often referred to simply as molecular mimicry at the protein level, is a fascinating biological strategy where one protein structurally or chemically impersonates another protein to manipulate a biological system. Doesn't seem like I was way off now, does it? Johan says maybe you should go into biological institutes and talk with them. I guarantee your scientists love curious people. Maybe you'll never see me again. Maybe you will. Right? Maybe they'll communicate with me in such heavy scientific jargon it will spin my fucking head this way and that. I'm good. I'm on a good pace. I'm understanding what I'm talking about. Clearly, the AI understands what the fuck I'm talking about. It just repeated everything I said. It just even said it better. But it didn't call me a liar. So, at least I know I'm not out here talking misinformation or disinformation at this point. Maybe I should educate my people that such things are being invented that impersonates a protein to manipulate a biological system. Maybe I should do that. Does that sound like a weakened version of a virus? Or does that sound like something that if it got into the wrong hands could be fucking deadly? Or should I take the first guy's advice and just go back and take a community college science course? Do you think that would help? Let me ask fucking AI. How it works, the mechanics of the counterfeit. Proteins interact with each other like a lock and key. For two proteins to bind, their surface must match precisely in both three-dimensional shape and chemical charge. I think he's talking about allotropes, but I never went to a fucking community science course, so I don't know what allotropes are. Let me ask. When you say three-dimensional shape and chemical charge, are you talking about allotropes? Regarding the 3D shape? And this is how we learned. No, allotropes are a different concept entirely, though it is a completely logical connection to make when thinking about three-dimensional arrangements of matter. Okay, he said I was close, well, but he also said I was not close. He said it was logical. Don't get too happy. Here's the difference between what is happening with protein mimicry versus what defines an allotrope. What is an allotrope? An allotrope refers to different structural forms of the same single chemical element. When the same type of atom bonds together in different geometric arrangement, it creates entirely different physical substances. The classic example, carbon. If carbon atom bond in a 3D tetrahedral lattice, you get a diamond. Ooh. If those exact same carbon atoms bond in flat 2D hexagonal sheets stacked on top of each other, you get graphite. Keep going. Keep fucking going. They are made of the exact same ingredient, but their distant 3D geometries give them vastly different physical properties. Okay. What is protein shape and charge? Macromolecular folding. Ooh. When discussing protein mimicry, we are dealing with massive complex macromolecules made of hundreds or thousands of atoms, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and sulfur, arranged into chains of amino acids. When we talk about their 3D shape and chemical charge, we are referring to two specific features. Conformation, 3D shape. A protein chain doesn't stay flat. It folds into highly complex, unique 3D landscape full of ridges, grooves, pockets, and loops. Okay, for two proteins to interact, a ridge on one must perfectly fit into a groove on the other. Okay, I got that. Surface electrostatics, the chemical charge. The surface of the 3D shape is lined with different electrical charges. Some spots are positively charged, some are negatively charged, some are hydrophobic, repel water, and some are hydrophilic, attract water. Got you. The difference in mimicry and protein mimicry, a virus or decoy protein isn't changing its element to form like an allotrope. Instead, it has evolved to fold its entirely different chain of matter into a shape that Whoa! Crazy. Instead, it has evolved to fold its entirely different chain of matter into a shape that copies the exact topography and electrical charge map of a host protein. That's fucking nuts. It's like a plastic key being carved to perfectly mimic the shape and ridges of a brass key. The materials are different, but functional surface is identical. That's fucking crazy. Wow. Wow. Good question, Uncle Andy. I was going to save that for another show, but the reason I laughed when it started to explain about the element of carbon, the thing about it is, you asked about graphene. Graphene is synthetically made. Let me just make sure before I spread disinformation. When it comes to graphene, is graphene synthetically made? Don't want to spread disinformation. Says yes, graphene is absolutely synthetically made, while graphite, the pure carbon lead in a pencil, occurs naturally in the earth. Graphene, which is a single isolated layer of carbon atoms arranged in a 2D hexagonal lattice, does not exist floating around freely in nature in unusable form. To get pure graphene, human intervention and chemical and physical engineering are required. So, we're going to talk about this more. Yeah, I would prefer to keep that whole entire conversation separate. Maybe tonight.
When all the studies are collected together, despite having different outcome measures, the average benefit is 64%. This means that subjects who received hydroxychloroquine were only 36% as likely to reach the negative outcomes as subjects in the control groups. The scientific literature first suggested that HCQ or CQ might be effective treatments for coronavirus in 2004. In that era, following an outbreak, Chinese and Western governments were pouring millions of dollars into an effort to identify existing, aka repurposed medicines that were effective against coronaviruses.
That's something we must look at too, the repurpose of medicines. That's a whole different conversation, but let's have that conversation as well.
With HCQ, they had stumbled across the Holy Grail. In 2004, Belgian researchers found that chloroquine was effective at viral killing at doses equivalent to those used to treat malaria, i.e. doses that are safe. A CDC study published in 2005 in the Virology Journal, Chloroquine is a potent inhibitor of SARS coronavirus infection and spread, demonstrated that CQ quickly eliminated coronavirus.
What time is it now? I gotta eat. I gotta take my daughter to go ride a bike. Alright. I don't want to tell you the time. I'm not gonna be here, but this conversation is gonna happen either today or tomorrow. Let me think about it, Mobile. Let me think about it. It's gonna go down this weekend, I can tell you that. We're gonna knock this out the box.
In primate cell culture during the SARS outbreak. That study concludes, we report that chloroquine has strong antiviral effects on SARS coronavirus infection of primate cells, both before.
Is there anybody that's a science zealot that wants to respond to what this guy is saying? The information, is he kicking disinformation? Is he lying, as some people told me? There were other countries who were using HCQ for viruses, and they seen a high efficacy rate. Is there anybody that wants to oppose what the person is saying in this book? Do you want to debate this person on the book?
For or after exposure to the virus, suggesting both prophylactic and therapeutic advantage. This conclusion was particularly threatening to vaccine makers, since it implies that chloroquine functions both as a preventive vaccine as well as a cure for SARS coronavirus. Common sense would presume it to be effective against other coronavirus strains. Worse still for Dr. Fauci and his vaccine-making friends, a NIAID study and a Dutch paper, both in 2014, confirmed chloroquine was effective against MERS, still another coronavirus. In response to their studies, physicians worldwide discovered early in the pandemic that they could successfully treat high-risk COVID-19 patients as outpatients within the first 5 to 7 days of the onset of symptoms with a chloroquine drug alone or with a cocktail consisting of hydroxychloroquine, zinc, and azithromycin or doxycycline. Multiple scholarly contributions to the literature quickly confirmed the efficacy of hydroxychloroquine and hydroxychloroquine-based combination treatment when administered within days of COVID symptoms. Studies confirming this occurred in China, France, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Italy, India, New York City, upstate New York, Michigan, and Brazil.
Does anybody want to reply to that information that you might not hear anywhere else because it's going to be censored? Is that how civilization should be ran? I think they call that malinformation, right? Malinformation is information. It doesn't mean that it's not true. It's just information they don't want you to hear. But what should we expect from a government who legalized propaganda?
HCQ's first prominent champion was Dr. Didier Raoult, the iconic French infectious disease professor, who has published more than 2,700 papers and is famous for having discovered 100 microorganisms, including the pathogen that...
I believe that this guy, this guy could be running his mouth, which is RFK. But again, I came to learn. Let's see. Does HCQ have a record of being able to efficiently remedy malaria? Let's just see what it says. This guy could be just talking crap too. We don't know. Google says yes, HCQ has a long, well-established and highly effective record of treating and preventing malaria. In fact, curing and preventing malaria is exactly what the drug was originally designed and approved to do. Well, there you go. HCQ is a synthetic derivative of chloroquine, which itself was derived from quinine, a natural compound found in the bark of Peruvian cinchonia tree. And he just said all of that in the book. Johnny the Monkey's back, huh? The problem here is the selection bias as to source. Thank you, Johnny, for bringing it down a fucking notch, bro. You were way up here, bro. We had to get you to come down. Did you have your morning coffee? Are you ready to participate with the rest of the fucking class, Johnny? God damn. You were wilding, bro. You was tripping a second ago. All right, he's taking tiny studies and papers and antidotes and ignoring all of them, mostly contradictory data. All right, God damn it, Johnny. What contradictory data? We came to learn, right? So stop thinking we came to fight you and you came to fight us. We didn't come to do none of that shit. Problem right now is he has information and you don't. You're just saying shit. Give me something to look up, Johnny. Right? Johan just said something about chloroquine is not efficient. I looked it up. Google's saying some other shit. What? Google could be fucking lying. And Johan, who lives in Senegal, he's like, yo, I know what they saying, but the shit is not true. Right? I got malaria right now, goddammit. Been taking this shit all week. Nothing, bro. Maybe he has a placebo. Maybe they making money off Johan for all I fucking know. It is not enough to oppose someone without the reason why you're opposing them. And when you say the reason why, I would like for you to come with some type of evidence on your opposition. Okay. Damn. All right. Johan says he had malaria 12 times. I'm not laughing, John. I'm not laughing, Johan. I'm not laughing. His name is actually Johnny, and Johan is Johnny. I'm not laughing. 12 times? That's wild, crazy. All right. I guess you would know. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're saying that it doesn't work, I'm assuming you took it and it didn't work for you. That's one. Johnny the Monkey has brought it down a lot. Thank you, Johnny. Now he's saying HCQ is great medicine for malaria, which even Google has said that. So he's right there. I think he's right. Arthritis and lupus. I don't agree with him there. Disagree with him there. He's saying it has no efficacy for treating or preventing COVID. All right, this is what we're gonna do, Johnny. Because I can't call you a liar, Johnny. I can't do that. And I can't sit up here and be like, oh, you don't know what to do. I can't do none of those things, right? At this point. This is what I can do. I think I heard a little something on here. I'm gonna bring this back, and I'm gonna see if I could challenge both of you guys is what the book is saying and what you're saying at the same time, right? So let me bring this back a couple of minutes, because I thought I heard that it did have an efficacy rate, but maybe I was tripping.
To 7 days of the onset of symptoms with a chloroquine drug alone or with a cocktail consisting of hydroxychloroquine, zinc, and azithromycin or doxycycline. Multiple scholarly contributions to the literature quickly confirmed the efficacy of hydroxychloroquine and hydroxychloroquine-based combination treatment when administered within days of COVID symptoms.
Do you want to respond to that, Johan? I mean, not Johan. Johnny the Monkey? Want me to play it again? Because you said it has no efficacy rate for treating or preventing COVID. Let me just play it again. I don't want to seem unbiased.
Patients within
No, I do want to seem unbiased. I don't want to seem biased.
the first 5 to 7 days of the onset of symptoms with a chloroquine drug alone or with a cocktail consisting of hydroxychloroquine, zinc, and azithromycin or doxycycline. Multiple scholarly contributions to
Multiple scholarly contributions.
the literature quickly confirmed the efficacy of hydroxychloroquine and hydroxychloroquine-based combination treatment when administered within days of COVID symptoms.
Okay, Johnny says the COVID-19 vaccines, plural, vaccines, he's talking about more than one, had varying degrees of efficacy. There was little prevention of spread, but excellent reduction in mortality. I'm not... So, Johnny, I don't think we're discussing at this moment the efficacy of the COVID-19 vaccines. How many of there, it doesn't... That wasn't even my argument. I didn't even have an argument. That wasn't even my philosophical focus. I never said they weren't effective, or if they were. You're going off the rails again. Johnny, Johnny's going off the rails again. We gotta leave him alone. When he goes off the rails, just let him go. He was pretending. He was a mimicry. He acted like he was civilized, and then he started wilding out again. Right? And this is what happens when people become polarized. They don't want to deal with the conversation. He has not dealt with the conversation that I have been having. He's dealing with the conversation he wants to have. And if that's the case, Johnny, promote your YouTube show. Drop the link in the title to your YouTube show, bro. Let people come over and hear you ramble on about God knows what. However, I was asking if there were other solutions that we could have looked at but were blocked. Why were they blocked? Because depending on the answer of why they were blocked, it could have been a conflict of interest. Johnny, they want to get rid of Johnny the Monkey. They want to get rid of you, bro. They're begging to blast you up out of here. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Leave them be. Leave them be. Maybe he feels safe over here and he wants to get some things out. I don't know. I can tell you this. We're not having the same conversation. Right? I'm doing critical thinking right now on civilization. This is bigger than, were the COVID-19s effective? Because now we're getting into, right? We're not doing that.
Patients within the first 5 to 7 days of the onset of symptoms with a chloroquine drug alone or with a cocktail consisting of hydroxychloroquine, zinc, and azithromycin or doxycycline. Multiple scholarly contributions to the literature quickly confirmed the efficacy of hydroxychloroquine and hydroxychloroquine-based combination treatment when administered within days of COVID symptoms. Studies confirming this occurred in China, France, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Italy, India, New York City, upstate New York, Michigan, and Brazil.
It's a lot of places for someone to come on my show and say it had no efficacy at all. It's kind of hard.
HCQ's first prominent champion was Dr. Didier Raoult, the iconic French infectious disease professor, who has published more than 2,700 papers and is famous for having discovered 100 microorganisms, including the pathogen that causes Whipple's disease. On March
Yeah, they're so quick to say, "Hey, maybe I'll trust the expert." Okay, here's a fucking expert, huh? Huh? If I'm only listening to your experts, then it's not balanced, is it? If I'm only listening to experts that's on the take and thinking about their career and maybe their safety.
Iran, Italy, India, New York City, upstate New York, Michigan, and Brazil. HCQ's first prominent champion was Dr. Didier Raoult, the iconic French infectious disease professor, who has published more than 2,700 papers and is famous for having
All right, Johnny's back down. He's 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 running back down. He's running back down. I can hear it in his breathing. He's like, "All right, are we talking about HCQ?" Yes, we are. Why are we talking about HCQ? Because of the first question I asked, Johnny. Were there other solutions that we didn't look at? Now, right now, I'm not gonna lie. Your credibility is wearing thin because you made some bold claims. Uncle Andy told you was making bold claims, and you stood on your claims, and then 10 seconds later, the book I'm playing eviscerates your bold claims. So let's stay away from bold claims. At the start of the pandemic, they tried every medicine in the world to see if it worked on COVID. I don't know, Johnny. It seems vague. It's missing who they are. And this guy's kind of like giving examples of who they are. And listen to this, Johnny. Just listen to this. And you tell me the difference between your reply and their reply. Watch.
Discovered 100 microorganisms, including the pathogen that causes Whipple's disease. On March 17, 2020, Dr. Raoult provided a preliminary report on 36 patients treated successfully with hydroxychloroquine and sometimes azithromycin.
All right. That's 3 months into the official announcement of the pandemic. 3 months. They tell me that science, inside, you have to produce evidence relying on observation, experimentation, and testing of your theories. It sounds like this Raoult guy definitely tested and was able to duplicate an effective resolution to this virus. Why wasn't he taken serious? And again, Johnny the Monkey, that's data to me. You understand? You saying at the start of the pandemic they tried. I don't know who they are. When? What date? He gives March 2020. What date? Who are they? Because he's mentioning a doctor named Raoult. They tried every medicine. Which ones? Because he's mentioning HCQ. You see the difference?
Didier Raoult, the iconic French infectious disease professor, who has published more than 2,700 papers and is famous for having discovered 100 microorganisms.
All right, Johnny, take care, man. Come back, bro. Come back.
organisms, including the pathogen that causes Whipple's disease. On March 17, 2020, Dr. Raoult provided a preliminary report on 36 patients treated successfully with hydroxychloroquine and sometimes azithromycin at his institution in Marseille. In April, Dr. Vladimir Zev Zelenko, MD, in upstate
Johan says, I remember when Trump told to drink bleach. Yeah. We went over that, Johan. They mentioned that in the book. They mentioned that. And I mentioned it, and I've said I thought it was a wild time. Yeah, I guess that's what he thought. He thought, like, he heard chlorine, right? He's like, yo, you guys got to drink more bleach. What the fuck are you doing? You're wilding. You need more bleach in your diet. Yeah, because at the time, maybe clearly he wasn't in the know of what was going down. He was too volatile of a person to be on the inside of that, right? So they didn't trust him. They needed somebody that was more diplomatic, more reserved, someone that wasn't so impulsive, who wouldn't flip on you at the drop of a dime, right? So they chose well. They chose Fauci. He was fucking loyal to the end. Senator, when you question me, you question science. Oh, he was loyal to the end.
New York physician and early HCQ adopter, reproduced Dr. Didier Raoult's startling successes by dramatically reducing expected mortalities among 800 patients Zelenko treated with the HCQ cocktail. By late April of 2020, U.S. doctors were widely prescribing HCQ to patients and family members, reporting outstanding results and taking it themselves prophylactically. In May 2020, Dr. Harvey Risch, MD, PhD, published the most comprehensive study to date on HCQ's efficacy against COVID. Risch is Yale University's supereminent professor of epidemiology, an illustrious world authority on the analysis of aggregate clinical data. Dr. Risch concluded that evidence is unequivocal for early and safe use of the HCQ cocktail.
I don't understand. You guys are telling us to trust the science. These people are using science. Are you serious? Well, I didn't know that. Uncle Andy says 100. Does that say ppm? You guys know I have old eyes. 100 ppm of chlorine is considered a sanitary solution. Really? It is ingestible up to 200 ppm without symptoms. Huh. Huh. Oh, he's a Serve Safe certified chef. Well, there you go. The things you learn on my show. Jesus. Let's listen to a little bit more before I take my daughter out to, we got 10 more minutes.
Dr. Risch published his work, a meta-analysis reviewing 5 outpatient studies, in affiliation with the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health in the American Journal of Epidemiology under the urgent title, Early Outpatient Treatment of Symptomatic High-Risk COVID-19 Patients That Should Be Ramped Up Immediately as Key to Pandemic Crisis. He further demonstrated with specificity how HCQ's critics, largely funded by Bill Gates and Dr. Tony Fauci, had misinterpreted, misstated, and misreported negative results by employing faulty protocols, most of which showed HCQ efficacy administered without zinc and Zithromax, which were known to be helpful. But their main trick for ensuring the protocols failed was to wait until late in the disease process before administering HCQ, when it is known to be ineffective. Dr. Reish noted that evidence against HCQ used late in the course of the disease is irrelevant. While acknowledging that Dr. Didier Raoult's powerful French studies favoring HCQ efficacy were not randomized, Reish argued that the results were nevertheless so stunning as to far outweigh that deficit. The first study of HCQ plus AZ showed a 50-fold benefit of HCQ plus AZ versus standard of care. This is such an enormous difference that it cannot be ignored despite lack of randomization. Reish has pointed out that the supposed need for randomized placebo-controlled trials is a shibboleth. In 2014, the Cochrane collaboration proved in a landmark meta-analysis of 10,000 studies that observational studies of the kind produced by Dr. Didier Raoult are equal in predictive ability to randomized placebo-controlled trials. Furthermore, Reish observed that it is highly unethical to deny patients promising medications during a pandemic, particularly those which, like HCQ, have long-standing safety records. So, against all that I've shared here, Dr. Fauci offered up one answer. Hydroxychloroquine should not be used because we don't understand the mechanism it uses to defeat COVID.
I think there is some logic within that. If I'm being unbiased, right? There's some logic in that. And it's like, I don't understand. So here's the thing. Either it's doing it or it's not. But if you keep testing it and it is doing it, then you're like, okay, it's doing it what we believe. Maybe we put some more money behind to understanding how it's doing it for now. But we keep on testing in those areas and to make sure that it is doing exactly what we say it's doing. Yeah, Uncle Andy, but you want to lose focus, but if you do, you turn into Johnny the Monkey, just on a different side. And the whole thing is you want to stay away from being a zealot on either side, because you cannot hear what these people are saying, and you can learn some things. Even if they're one from their mistakes, you can learn something. It didn't say he was wrong, Johan. It also didn't say he was right. Right? So this is what I'm saying. And I just said there's logic in Fauci's argument there, because he's saying it seems like it could be working on the specimens that you are giving this treatment to. However, we don't even know if that's the real cause. That's what Fauci was saying. We don't know if that's the real cause of the efficacy rate. And because we don't know if that's the real cause and we don't understand what's happening, I cannot give it to everybody. But, Johan, also remember this is the guy who flip-flopped on mask. So if you think that's a gotcha moment, don't be sorry for me. Because the top scientists in that the world was listening to said, wear a mask, don't wear a mask. No, wear the mask. He didn't know. He was wrong. So you're right. I'm agreeing with you. Scientists can be wrong. Even the top scientists, in fact, Johan.
Another shibboleth transparently invoked to defeat common sense. Regulators do not understand the mechanism of action of many drugs, but they nonetheless license those that are effective and safe. The fact is that we know more about how HCQ beats COVID than we know about the actions of many other medicines, including notably Dr. Fauci's darlings, mRNA vaccines, and remdesivir. Furthermore, an August 2020 paper from Baylor University by Dr. Peter McCullough et al. Described mechanisms by which the
You gotta be. No, we don't agree on that. I can replay it, Johan, if you want. I heard what I heard. It didn't say he was wrong. It said it was equivalent to placebos. Or do you want us to replay it? Or you didn't hear it? I was listening. I keep my eyes closed a lot of time, but I'm listening. And the one thing that you didn't see me do is come up here and try to change the narrative to something that they didn't say. You didn't see me do that. But this is when you know that other people are biased. And I'm going to say you right here, Johan. You did try to change the conversation to fit your argument. And that is why I cannot trust science or human beings. Because it's not just you. So don't even feel bad. You are like everybody else. When they want to defend something, they will change the narrative. We are all sitting here. Oh yeah, on scientists that can be wrong. Yes, we agree on that. We are all sitting here listening to the book. Didn't say he was wrong. But you would leave this program and say, yeah, he was over there. Dr. Raoul was wrong. It didn't say that. So if I didn't take a stance and I stood up to make sure that my audience knew, hey, Fauci had good logical thinking there. Because the efficacy rate was about the same as placebo, he may feel that, hey, it is having if he didn't argue that it wasn't having an efficacy rate. What he argued is we don't understand it. We don't understand why it's doing it, if it's doing it. Even I did that. I hate to blow my own horn, but you need more people like that, bro. That's where I stand out, dead ass. I'll give myself that. That separates me from a lot of people. I could do that. If you can't do that, then how the hell do we grow? If we can't keep it real during a conversation that we all listening to, and you're going to try to tell me what I heard and everybody else what they heard. We all sitting in here in real time. Never said he was wrong. Never said he was wrong. You said he was wrong. What I heard was 37 people got cured.
The components of the HCQ cocktail exert antiviral effects. McCullough shows that the efficacy of the HCQ cocktail is based on the pharmacology of the hydroxychloroquine ionophore acting as the gun and zinc as the bullet, while azithromycin potentiates the antiviral effect.
So it seems like there were some other components that needed to be combined with the HCQ that might have been even more effective.
An even more expansive September 30th, 2020 meta-review summarizes more recent research, concluding that all the studies on early administration of HCQ within a week following infection demonstrate efficacy, while studies of HCQ administered later in the illness show mixed results. In March 2020, Nature published a paper.
So that's the third variable, which time. So it wasn't even only a combination of other medicines, but it was also a time factor. Listen, Rene Descartes, the French philosopher, said, if you, and I'm paraphrasing, but if you really want to get serious about philosophy, you got to empty things out. Everything you think you know, throw that shit out the window. Then re-pour everything back into you and see how it arranges, right? So don't have a side. Don't take a side yet. Consider everything. No doubt, I'm about to leave anyway. All right. Let's get up out of here. Play one of my joints as I leave. Play my new song as I leave. Just made a new song this morning. And I think I like it. It's called The Cage Bird Dreams.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming through today.
Yeah. 2 Train riding the iron horse. Smell like piss mixed with remorse. Headed to work and I hate it, but this is the life that I created. Badass Billy, I was a terror. Now 10 years later, a different ever, it's a different equation. I'm trying to measure, I was street smart, but really never that clever. If I was, I could've used credit to build a treasure. Instead I played a game. Masters of the earth versus the melanated slave. Unaware I'm the God that created what he became. Sad ass story, we all got one. I ain't looking for pity, looking for options. How to triple 100 without robbing. Eat better food, get better lodging. Separate from the bullshit is the answer to the problem. That's how you dodge bullets without having to dodge them. I know why the cage bird sings. You only took his body, not his dreams. Oh, you tried to take his mind, but left his wings. And the first chance they get, they gon' fly away. Yeah. Older than yesterday, looking at it different. Can't claim to be a god if my powers got limits. As a man thinketh, never think about the distance. The balance of pragmatics and teachings of oral mystics. Every bad choice, it came with a tuition. Life was the teacher, pain was the witness. Chasing all the fast money, all of the attention. Never understood that wealth was the position. Mama said patience, I ain't never listened. Hard-headed child, dark eyes, empty vision. Universal contracts, read it with precision. Try to leave my seeds in a way better condition. If we stacked every nickel, learn every skill, in 18 months it will be different window. I'm only being real. Pressure make crystals that's harder than any steel. Being free in the world, it comes with free will. Sunset, sunrise, and so I will use it. I know why the cage bird sings. You only took his body, not his dreams. Oh, you tried to take his mind, but left his wings. In the first chance they get, they gon' fly away. Yeah.